I'm here today to do something a little different for this channel. We're going to do a trailer breakdown for the latest trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So starting off here, we have Vader's helmet seen in Kylo Ren's quarters in Force Awakens. This is interesting to me because footage was leaked from D23 that shows that Kylo Ren still has that mask. If you remember, he spoke to it in Force Awakens as though it could communicate back to him. Well, recently I stumbled across one of the canon Vader comics. It's number 22 to be specific. In this issue, Vader is given by Palpatine a helmet that was once owned by a Sith Lord. Moomin, I think was his name. Vader brings this helmet back to his castle on Mustafar, where the Sith Lord begins to communicate with him, proving canonically that Sith can appear after death in some form. And so possibly, my idea is that the Rise of Skywalker maybe doesn't mean Rey, Luke, or Ben, as many have speculated, but it could possibly mean Anakin might be the one to rise back and fulfill the prophecy as the chosen one from the beginning. Next, we have a scene that shows a large fleet of Imperial Star Destroyers. These are ISD-1s. They are original Imperial, so Empire Star Destroyers. They are not the new First Order versions. They were brought over from the Republic era and used in the beginnings of the Imperial fleet. You can tell these are from the Republic era by noting the red stripe on the sides of the destroyers. Now on to why these ships are significant. For anyone who has read Timothy Zahn's Thrawn series, you should remember a fleet by the name of Katana. In the novel, the fleet was infected by a virus, and the commander blindly shot them into hyperspace. Since those books are no longer canon, this may have been reworked. My theory on all of this is that Thrawn, who, for those who watched the finale of Star Wars Rebels remember, was also blindly taken into hyperspace with Ezra Bridger, who was the main character of that series. It was confirmed by Dave Filoni, who is the creator of the animated content for Lucasfilm, that Ezra and Thrawn were sent out into the middle of the unknown regions. While there, it is possible that in the new canon, the story was reworked for Thrawn to find this fleet after his encounter with Ezra, whose whereabouts would now be unknown, and take command of it. It is also possible that this fleet now, instead of being infected by a virus, was sent into hyperspace, was instead just a backup plan created by Palpatine as part of Operation Cinder, which was his contingency plan in case he was killed. This fleet could be part of the overall plan that began with Snoke, who, along with his navigators, also came from the unknown regions. Furthermore, in the canon game Battlefront 2, Luke travels to the planet Pileo, where he finds a secret bunker of the Emperor's which contains various artifacts, one of which is a compass. This compass is then seen quickly in The Last Jedi, still in Luke's possession. If you read the visual dictionary, you will find that this compass has hyperspace vectors already programmed into it. Could these possibly lead to this fleet? Who knows? To add further credence to my belief, Dave Filoni was interviewed at D23 and was asked if any of his animated characters would ever show up in live action, and this is what he had to say.
With the freedom of something like Disney Plus, do you see a world in which someone like Ahsoka could go live action, or anyone else, like some of your animated creations, could make the jump and vice versa?
Yeah, never say never.
Sounds to me like there may be a character showing up soon in live action form. Lastly, this is a personal bit of fun I had poking around on the internet. Remember when Matt Smith was cast? His part has been kept under wraps since the announcement, but looking at this photo next to Thrawn, it looks like he could easily play him with just a little blue makeup. And while we are on the subject of old expanded universe characters coming to the movies, take a look at this ship. A ship like this has been seen in canon once before in A New Hope. However, in Legends, it looks very similar to the Outrider, which was the ship used by Dash Rendar. So could we be seeing even more characters being brought into canon? We'll see in December. Next, we have just a few more callbacks to the other films. Here we have the newly announced character Jannah with Finn. In the promotional photo for Jannah, we see that she uses a light bow similar to the one in Rogue One. Next, we have C-3PO with red eyes. It has been a tradition in every Star Wars trilogy to at some point disassemble 3PO, and this trilogy looks to do the same. 3PO rises up from this table, presumably after being reassembled to some degree, given the tools behind him and the fact that he was just lying down on a table. And now I want to revisit the picture of the Star Destroyers. Notice underneath there is an opening with an object inside of it that looks like it could be a cannon, similar to those shown in The Last Jedi, which would explain this red laser and the explosion that follows, thus eliminating the need for a new superweapon like many have theorized. If every ship in the fleet that we see is equipped with one of these, there would be no need for a centralized superweapon. Next, we see Kylo Ren walking away from the ship that we saw in the first Episode 9 trailer, as opposed to his TIE silencer from the previous films. The interesting part about this scene to me, though, is the terrain that he is walking across. The cracked ground looks very similar to that on Crate. At the same time, however, the blue smokiness also resembles this scene from the first trailer. My personal thought on where this could be is Batuu, which is the location for the new theme park Galaxy's Edge. Looking at the concept art for the park shows a definite resemblance to the scene from the trailer. Something else to notice is the ship that we see flying towards this mountain village looks exactly like the one we see in Force Awakens that left Rey on Jakku. Maybe Rey could be from Batuu. This would also allow for some neat storytelling moments inside the park. Now to my final point. We see the big reveal of what appears to be Rey in a dark cloak, holding a hinged lightsaber like the one used by the Jedi Temple Guard in Rebels. While most theories I've seen say that she could either be a clone or possessed by Palpatine, I believe that instead of that, what if Rey has sought out a Sith temple to try and gain knowledge of the enemy that she is about to face? If you look behind Rey in this scene, there is a carved out rock behind her that looks very similar to the scenery shown in the Sith temple in Rebels. Furthermore, Rey has already shown that she has no fear of the dark side. In fact, in The Last Jedi, she sought out answers from the dark side of Ahch-To and used it to gain an answer that prepared her for the confrontation with Kylo Ren and Snoke. She used the dark side against two wielders of that very same power, so it isn't too far of a stretch to think that she would try this again. Let's also say, for the sake of speculation and fun, that maybe she went back to Luke's hut on Ahch-To and found a Jedi holocron. If then she goes to the Sith temple and finds a Sith holocron, then as told by the Bendu in Rebels, this would happen.
If two such powerful sources of knowledge are united, they will grant a clarity of vision beyond your kind. When joined, any secret, wisdom, or destiny can be seen through the Force. One could bring much chaos with such hidden truths.
Lastly, to explain the red lightsaber, what if instead of being used as a symbol for the Sith, she chooses to use it as a symbol of her own balance? Instead of choosing to use Anakin and Luke's lightsaber, she finds a red crystal in the temple and uses her staff to create her own lightsaber for her own identity as a balanced Force user. One last thing to notice is that when the shot pulls back, the figure that we see looks much less like Rey, almost as if Rey's face has been mixed with someone else's. Also, on Rey's hand, you can see what is called a mother's signet ring. A mother's signet ring contains a stone for each child a mother has. The same ring can be seen on Leia's finger when she hugs Rey at the end of Force Awakens. And strangely enough, when you look at that, it has two stones, while Leia, only knowingly to the audience, has one child. So maybe my theory is incorrect, and we might be seeing the answer to part of Rey's parentage, or it could be a ring used to control her. We'll just have to wait until December to find out. And with that, my breakdown of the Episode 9 trailer comes to an end. See you all in December to finally learn all of the answers in the end of the Skywalker saga. Also, one last thing that I forgot to put in. If you notice here, the area where Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting, there's a lot of water, and it seems to be the area where the crashed Death Star was at in the first trailer. This, to me, looks very similar to Kamino, which, as you know, the Emperor had his hand in and was using it to clone. So possibly has Emperor Palpatine cloned himself like he did in Legends? I don't know. Once again, see you in December and we'll find out.